And welcome back to our continuing series of live streams. Tonight we are presenting the Marysville Unified School Trustees Area 1 and 3, getting started a little later than 8 o'clock, our scheduled time. You are watching Yuba-Sutter.live, and this is a special presentation. Ted Langdell, once again, from the corner of
Yuba-Sutter.live, it's the truth that comes through.
And also occasionally some problems. Ted Langdell, once again, from the corner of 3rd and D Streets in downtown Marysville, what we fondly call Christmas Tree Park. And we are here with the candidates who are running for the first area. This is Area 1 of Marysville Unified School District Trustees. The all trustees areas that we'll make a note here include the Marysville Charter Academy for the Arts, the Abraham Lincoln, South Lyndhurst High School, and North South Lyndhurst High School. There's a name, quite a name for you. But Area 1 is Marysville, generally south of 5th, west of A Street, in central Linda, West Linda, and western Olivehurst. It includes Skycrest. Try listening to yourself while you're talking on a delay. It really helps. And generally west of Arboga Road, north of Ella Avenue. It includes Cedar Lane and Mary Covalod schools. And joining me this morning, we have two people. In just a minute, we're going to get rid of the little countdown clock there that we don't need. There we go. Now that that's gone, we can move right along. Now, we had invited the Area 2 folks who would represent northeastern East Marysville, east of Covalod and Ramirez Streets, Yuba Street corridor, East Linda, east of the former Southern Pacific tracks out in Linda, including Woodland Circle, Edgewater, but not Yuba College. And this area includes Edgewater, Linda, Kynoch, and McKinney schools. So Area 2's incumbent is Gary Criddle. He's an educator over the Sutter County Office of Education. He's being challenged by Catherine Ewing and Ricardo Galacia, who's a parent and special education teacher up in Live Oak. Well, we've had some communication with Ricardo, but he had to cancel this morning because he had a prior commitment that his wife reminded him of. And I can't make it from Catherine Ewing, and I did not hear back from Gary Criddle. So we are here in Christmas Tree Park, and we are going to talk to two people. But first, I want to let you know that our live stream today is presented by Nickell Tax and Financial.
Hi, I'm Seth here with Nickell Tax and Financial Planning, and I'm your financial ally. With years of expertise, we at Nickell Tax go the extra mile to maximize your refund and get the largest allowed by law. With Seth Fuhr and family at Nickell Tax, it's not just about the numbers, it's about personalized service that fits your unique financial goals. That's why we fight for our clients here at Nickell Tax and Financial Planning, where Seth Fuhr and family are going to
save you more than just nickels.
Nickell tax.com.
And we are back here at Christmas Tree Park in Marysville. We are at 3rd and D Streets in Marysville, and I am Ted Langdell. At least I have been for a while. Some people seem to think it's less than I actually have been, and I'll take that any day. So let's introduce our candidates here. On the left, we have probably the youngest candidate in the whole shebang, and that is Stephen Fuhrer. Go ahead, Stephen, you can pick up the microphone.
Yeah, my name is Stephen Fuhrer, and I'm running for the...
Let me get the mic up here. Wait a minute.
Okay.
And then also on your the other side, our camera left here, is Randy Davis, who is the incumbent for the Trustee Area 1. He's also the board president this year, and he's a retired Forest Service Soil Program Manager. So we're going to get into it, and we'll do so with just some basic information about you. A little opening statement, your elevator pitch if you want, and we'll pick it up with Stefan.
Sounds great.
That's age before, lack of age before beauty. Is that how that
what
works
it works?
today?
All right. Well, my name is Stefan Fuhr, and I'm running for Marysville Joint Unified School District Area 1, as you all know. And I'm hoping to bring a new perspective. As you mentioned, I am very young in this whole shebang, and I'm a graduate of MCAA and longtime resident of Marysville area. My family owns and operates Nickell Tax and Financial Planning, where I work as an EA and a notary public. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll move right along. Let's hear from Randy Davis.
Well, I'm Randy Davis, and I've been on the board since 2017, and we've dealt with a lot of issues in that almost 8 years. I've lived in the area, well, the family came to the area in the mid-60s, and I retired in 2011 and moved back to the area. And it's been very interesting to learn how time changes a community as well as just the political arena that has developed here. So I'm very happy to serve on the board and looking forward to the conversation we're having this morning.
Cool. So we'll start with you. Oh, Randy,
okay.
Yeah, just hang on the mic. We'll
Okay, all right.
direct you here.
Okay.
In fact, I need to kind of turn my mic up a little bit. So, explain, what is the role of a school district?
Well, that's a pretty broad question, but important. What the school district does is we manage 22, 23 campuses, depending on how you want to count it, all the way up to Dobbins, down to Arboga. And so what the board does and what the district does is try to help guide the educational experience for our students as well as the teachers. So it's a give and take about what works, what doesn't work. And we're in the middle of trying to figure that out because since COVID, coming out of COVID, we've had an enormous drop in our test scores. We're still not at pre-COVID and getting our test scores up. And we've been trying all kinds of things, trying to figure out what the best fit is for helping these young people get a decent education. And so along with that is a budget. And we've been challenged with that, with the budget. Even when we had COVID dollars, we were still having challenges about filling vacancies, improving the educational experience for our students, and the whole business of the socio-emotional aspects of our students. And we've been trying whatever we can get our hands on to help with all of that. And along with it, you've got facilities. We have enormous amount of facilities that are aged, so they take a lot of maintenance, and we've been able to catch up on a lot of that. But we still are short of classrooms, we're short of teachers, and we don't have a community auditorium since the Marysville Auditorium has been basically closed since 2017.
So Why don't you take a stab at telling us what is the role of a school district?
Sure. So, like he said, very much so, the job of the school district and the board is to manage the schools inside that district, of course, set rules and precedences, and to interact with teachers and parents and hear what they have to say. And yeah. Randy very much said a lot of everything, so there was not much left.
Okay, so what is the role, we'll pick up with you, what is the role of a school district trustee?
So the role of a school district trustee is to vote with the rest of the board to set up the rules for the school district and to set the budget and to find ways to interact with the community in order to best help educate the children of the community.
Why don't you go ahead and answer that?
Well, then, what Stephen said is on the mark. The challenges we get into is the business of personnel management and setting curriculum. We do our best to get the most thorough evaluation of new curriculum, and the other one is dealing with the tight budget that the state gives us, and that's become very evident this year because our COVID money has run out, which was sort of a fill for a lot of our programs where we were able to do a little bit of moving money back and forth to balance the budget. And now we're at the point of this is the budget. And so we're having to look, this year is especially critical because of the restricted budget we have to deal with. And we do have grants. We've been very, very fortunate to have a number of grants that have brought in millions of dollars to help backfill some of the shortages that we have in other places in the budget. The unfortunate thing is those restricted dollars are very narrow in what they can be used for. And there's a big accounting apparatus that goes into that. And so right now we're looking at our organization. We're looking at the outcomes from the state test that just came out. Unfortunately, those numbers aren't as good as we had hoped. There are improvements, but there are definitely not the improvements we hoped for. So we're in a big year of evaluation and looking at what's working, what's not working, and looking at the whole business of organizational management.
So what is the biggest challenge, and we'll pass this on over here, what is the biggest challenge that Marysville Joint Unified School District faces today, and how do you, Stephen, propose to address that if you're elected?
Certainly. I think there are two big challenges that are facing the district at the moment. One is the deficit that they are looking towards right now, and there needs to be financial accountability, and we need to get to the point where our finances are in order, and we are not looking at deficits. That would be one of the big ones that I think is an issue. The other one is there's a big division between the board and the community, and I would like to see that division to be repaired, bridges to be made. I think that we need to talk and communicate with each other better and respect each other more, and I'd like to see that done, and that's one of the reasons I'm running for the board.
Same question?
Same question.
Well, as Stephen has touched on is the whole business of the deficit. And it's been an ebb and flow since I've been on the board. The challenge for the district is we're now paying on our COPS payments, which is our paying back our bonds. and that came into effect a couple of years ago. That's at $2.5 million that we weren't paying when I first started on the board. The other challenge we have is personnel cost and trying to contain the personnel cost. And that's where we're in a kind of a loggerheads with our teachers union about what we can afford to pay them versus what they think we can afford to pay them. And the whole business of working with the community has been a big initiative by the district since Dr. Osrina came onto the district. We built bridges with a whole host of our constituents, Yuba-Water Agency, Field Air Force Base, the Latino community. But there's always room for improvement, and that's one of the areas that I am looking to add on to what has been built. It takes a community to run a decent school district. And of course, each one of these sites has its own population and social emotional challenges. And so what the principals that we have brought in have been really working with their local communities, those communities that attend their schools, and doing their best to find out where they can help them. We've spent a lot of effort on the Latino community, helping them with English and being able to read and write. And we've had success in the various areas where we have been able to get all of our resources in a line. But the other thing is to look at how we're going to approach adding classrooms. 2 bonds have failed now, and unfortunately the growth hasn't. Our growth is continuing, especially south of the Yuba River. And so that's a big focal point for looking at the next 4 years of how we're going to address the classroom as well as the teacher shortages. So that's a priority of mine.
Okay. So what is the biggest challenge that the Marysville Joint Unified, and I think you answered the question, okay, but what is the biggest challenge that Marysville Joint Unified School District needs to address over the next 5 years? And what steps will you take if you're reelected, Randy, to get that to happen?
Well, and that's a big question and a very important one. And we've been doing our darndest. With the last bond, we really put out a major campaign to try to help people understand that we needed the facilities that we were funding with that bond. The unfortunate thing is it failed, and as we know, construction costs have skyrocketed. And so the challenge we have is how are we going to help our community understand that we do need those other classrooms and we do need another bond to facilitate that. We're hoping that the state school bond passes, which gives us a chance of getting 50% of our school facilities improvement paid for by the state. We'll see how that turns out. But where I'm committed is trying to get into at least Area 1 at a minimum, and to help people understand that the bond issue affects you. It's not some sort of a pie in the sky, and that we need those facilities. We're dealing with facilities that are, in some cases, 100 years old, but most of our facilities are at least 50 years old. And so we're having a heck of a time trying to maintain those while also adding classrooms. We are bringing a few classrooms that we brought in some portables that were moved from Foothill while we were repairing Foothill School. And now we put out about 5 of them across the district to help with the kindergarten and the TK program.
That's what you did. But what do you see that needs to be done in the next 5 years, and how will you get that to happen?
Well, and that's the challenge.
Keep it short because we need to.
Well, like I said, when you're trying to pass a bond that needs 55% of the vote, that means you're behind the curve at the get-go. So the reason why the bond failed, in my opinion, was that people didn't understand the need. Everybody, there's not a soul in this world that likes paying more taxes. I don't like paying more taxes. But given the budgets that we currently are getting from the state, we do not have enough money in our budgets to build new classrooms. So getting the word out and getting people involved and understanding the circumstances that the schools are under is my type of top priority. Sorry, and getting that message out there. And that's as simple as I can put it.
Okay. Stefan, why don't you take a stab at that?
We're
Question
talking
again?
Yes, please.
Okay. What is the biggest challenge the Marysville Joint Unified School District needs to address over the next 5 years, and what steps will you take if you're elected to get that to happen?
So I think that the deficit and the the deficit and the division between the community and the board is the two big ones. Like I said before, for the deficit, I would like to see fiscal responsibility. I would like to see grants. I do taxes for a living, so obviously I'd like to see less taxes, always, right? But I would definitely like to see fiscal responsibility for taking care of that budget. And then for the division with the community, I'd like to see us show each other respect and just see if we can't come to terms.
You've mentioned the community seeming to be separated or divided. What do you mean by that?
So attend a Marysville Joint Unified School District board meeting and you'll see that very much the board and the teachers and the parents all seem to be not getting along as well as I would like them to be, as well as I think that a lot of people would like to be. And so that's what I mean by the division between the community and the board.
What do you mean by getting along?
So as Randy mentioned earlier, there's the situation with the teachers' pay and with the situation with the words.
Yes, words, very important.
So there's the situation with the teachers' pay, and there's the situation with the parents and the laws that are coming down towards the board and all of that situation.
Okay, so what are the top 3 things that you intend to address if you're elected?
The deficit, for sure. And
how?
Then
Can you elaborate on that?
So I do not have the opportunity yet to see the budget and all of the situations with that, but I would attempt to get some fiscal responsibility and gain some grants from the state to put us so that we are not looking at a deficit in future years, which I think is a big problem going forward.
How? How do you deal with that? And that's also a question for Randy, too.
Sure, certainly. You reduce spending where you can. You try and adjust. It's accounting, right? And it's about getting money where it needs to go, while also not wasting money on things that it doesn't need to be wasted on.
Randy, is there money being wasted in the district?
Not that I know of. I hope not. I mean, we go over this budget at least quarterly, and we just had
what is the budget? You've got 2 different pots of money, basically.
Correct.
Unrestricted funds and then the categorical money that has to go to specific things.
Correct. We have what's called unrestricted money, is basically what the state gives us on an annual basis. It's based on attendance, and that's been a big challenge for us coming out of COVID, where we're working on getting our kids into the classrooms. That sounds kind of silly, but that's a big challenge right now. We have a lot of foster kids. We have a lot of homeless kids that attend our schools. And so we have to go basically into the orchards in some places to get those kids to get on a bus and get into a classroom. So one of the strategies of bringing in more money is what we have is a 180-day pledge, which what we have found is that's a minimum for kids to learn on a incremental basis. You can't force feed education to children. They have to be led into that. And we have spent an enormous amount of time with grant money, which is what Stephen mentioned. We have at least $3 to $4 million in grant money that's over a time frame. It's not all at once. And there's usually 2, 3, and 4 year on those grant monies. Some of them are renewal if you qualify. And so the budget deficit is very complicated because with the most of our unrestricted money goes to salary. It's over 80%. And so that doesn't leave you a whole lot of wiggle room to do a lot of extras. With the grant money, that usually comes with programs, educational programs, curriculum, training for teachers, new elements in the classroom. One of the ones is C-STEM, which is a computer-based robotics math program we have brought into the classroom. It's really helped with our math teaching, helping kids learn while they play. And but the bottom line is trying to get as many kids into the classroom as possible. We just had to release 250 kids because they don't have all the inoculations, all the shots they need, the vaccinations. And so that's an area we're going to focus on to how do we alleviate that? We don't want a bunch of sick kids in the room. And we have enough challenges of getting those kids in the classroom. So the challenges are knowing what your budget is and dealing with the cost. And one of our biggest challenges is with the teachers union, who know the numbers. They know exactly what our numbers are, but they're still pushing for a higher increment than we can afford. And we're at loggerheads with that. And
well, the teachers union, let's address that. The district and the teachers have been at loggerheads for a number of years.
Correct.
For a number of issues, particularly the lack of a contract.
Right.
For the 2022-2023 school year,
Correct.
23-24, and there's no contract for the year that's happening now.
Yeah.
So how do you propose to get those issues resolved and keep things like this from continuing to happen?
Well, and it goes back to funding. And that's been a big issue. I mean, when the state funding comes in low, that means there's less to work with. And the teachers union knows this. That this is not a big surprise. Our teachers are some of the best paid teachers in the area, and we do our darndest to keep it that way because we want to keep good teachers. But we have a union leadership that is very aggressive, and they don't like to hear, no, we can't afford that. And so we're in the middle of trying to resolve that. And they know this year the COLA, as it's called, is only 1 point something, which is ridiculous because we know the COLA should be at least 2 to 3. But that's what the state has given us. And so we can't do much with that. But we're trying our darndest with the grant money that, again, is highly restrictive to move as many teachers as we can into that to save on the unrestricted funds.
Okay, so Stefan, why don't you take a stab at that? And I'll repeat the question. The district and its teachers have been at loggerheads for a number of years over the issues of salary and other working conditions, other circumstances where new types of education, the middle college, among other things, have come up in district meetings. What do you propose to do to get these issues that have been coming up resolved and keep things like this from continuing to happen?
So I think that a big solution for a lot of problems is communication. Just like in any relationship, you need to communicate openly and constantly. And it doesn't seem like communication has been open and constant between the board and the union. And so I think that communication would be the key to that and would be the solution.
So do you have any specifics about how you would go about doing that? Things that maybe haven't been happening?
I'm not certain at the moment, but I would probably, one of the first things I would do would be get an open line of communication between the leader of the union and myself if I were on the board, and keep communication open and keep talking about what it is that they want and what it is that can happen.
Okay, so there is no permanent superintendent, and you're dealing with another interim superintendent. How can the selection of a new superintendent help or hinder resolving some of those issues? And they have been revolving.
Well, I'll try to answer that. The interim superintendent that we've brought on is very well experienced in running school districts. She's ran a number of them. What we have asked her to do is the very thing that Stefan's talking about, is taking an assessment of what's going on. And communication is a piece of it, but it's not the whole thing. What we're trying to find out is what's working, what's not working. And one of the big ones is MUTA, is the teachers union, and trying to figure out what's at the bottom of their resistance to our communication, because they've had plenty of communication. I can't tell you how many meetings we've had with them talking about budget, talking about the constraints that we're under, and they don't like the answers that we've given them. And we've done our darndest trying to figure out, well, what don't you understand about the answers we're giving you? So that's the first step. What we're trying to do is get ready for a new superintendent, if that's what happens. And because what we've added so many new programs over the last few years, we're still kind of catching our breath. And so what we're trying to do with the getting ready for the new superintendent, so whoever that person ends up being will have basically a state of the state of the district. What's working, what's not working, where are some improvements that would be recommended by the departments. We have a great data base or data collection group now that helps us with gathering data from the classrooms. And so what I'm hoping with bringing on a new superintendent is that they will have basically, this is where we're at, and this is where we think we need to go.
Okay.
What was the question one more time?
The question is, how can the selection of a new superintendent help or hinder resolving these issues?
Well, you know, there has been a lot of talk about the previous superintendent and the one who is temporarily and currently in place. And so I'm hoping that we can find a permanent solution for that position to bring some stability. That would be probably very nice for the district. I think that stability would be the solution.
So what qualities do you expect a superintendent to bring to the district and be able to accomplish?
I would like to see the superintendent be able to communicate with the district, and I would like to see them be able to communicate with the unions, and I would like to see them be able to solve the problems for a large portion of the school district.
Any ideas about how that might happen?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, Randy, why don't you answer that one?
And what was that again? What?
Oh, the question
Yeah.
was, what qualities do you expect a superintendent to bring
okay,
to the
okay.
district and be able to accomplish?
Well, and echoing what Stephen has said, we need an open administrator who understands organization, understands curriculum. We're in the middle of a big transfer of the special ed program, which is a very sensitive program to manage, and you know, and maybe a different perspective on how we deal with our union contracts. The teachers' union contract is a very complicated contract, and there's a number of things in it that stymie some about why is that in there. But once something gets into union contracts, it's very difficult to remove. So what we want to do is communicate. Okay, why is that important to you? It's really tying our hands at trying to help you. One of them is in the training arena. The union contract has that they have to approve all training that their teachers receive. And that is a major challenge when you're trying to help teachers teach. But it's in the contract, and so we honor that. And you mentioned the middle college. That is a very important program for our district. There are kids that want no frills, they just want to get to college. So that program offers them both a college diploma, a 2-year college diploma, as well as a high school diploma at the end of that 4 years. And that's one of the innovative things we're looking for in a new superintendent, is bringing in the most current understanding of curriculum and what parts of curriculum help, and to get rid of the extras that don't seem to help much.
Stefan, you want to follow up on that?
Certainly. We're talking about the superintendent still? Absolutely.
What are your expectations?
I'd like to see the superintendent be able to... Sorry, we answered it a little bit earlier, Bert. Yeah.
Yeah. What qualities would he or she bring to the table?
Certainly. Respect, I think, for each other. Being able to respect the unions and the teachers and the parents, I think, would be a big quality that I'd like to see the superintendent be able to show.
Should the new superintendent be from inside the district?
I think that would be absolutely important, yeah. That way they have a connection to the community. Absolutely.
Okay. Randy?
Well, we've done that. And the longest serving superintendent since I've been on the board was Kay Todd. She was here for 14 years. The unfortunate thing we saw during her tenure was the test scores were not improving. And so after her was Gary Sina, and unfortunately he hit the COVID flat on his face, and it was miserable when we were having to do remote learning and all the problems we had with trying to get the internet to work for us. When we selected Dr. Asrani, her pedigree was unbelievable. She dealt with unions, she had dealt with budgets, she had dealt with personnel, she dealt with curriculum. And that even though we had local candidates in that group of folks that were putting in for the superintendent, they didn't meet what we were looking for. We have always been open to having a local bunch of people put in for the superintendent. That's never been a criteria we overlooked. But we, at least, while I've been on the board, have been looking at a good leader. And that's what we saw in Dr. Asrani. And I think we got a good one. And we had a lot of good communication with the community during her tenure. And we intend to continue that. And that'd be one of the criteria that we would be including in looking at a new superintendent, along with the budget, along with the union, along with the business of curriculum. It's not one size fits all. And so if a local or a candidate rises to the top, more than happy to have them as a superintendent. And looking at the past, it's been a 50-50 kind of deal with those internal and those external.
So, Area 4 trustee Seth Seaman proposed making it a district policy to require district employees to tell parents if and when a student chooses to adopt a gender identity or orientation that is at odds with what's considered the student's birth sex or gender. That puts the district at odds with state law. Do you support such a move?
Well, I don't. I think we need to follow the law. And we have a number of studies that have shown that folks that have young people who've been outed, it hasn't gone well for the children. And so the whole business of gender identity is a fluid discussion right now. We really don't have enough data to tell, but at least the current data really supports not doing that. What we hope to endure is trust in our schools. That if you have something that's bothering you, that you can trust a teacher, a principal, somebody in the school district with that, and hopefully we can help you or them out in a way that's gentler than just reporting, your child has decided to be something other than what they are biologically. I think it's a very dangerous for the child and for the family.
Stefan?
Certainly. I think it's complicated because I believe the current rules and laws are that a teacher is required to report it, and this new law allows them to not have to do that. And so I think that as parents, we want to, parents would like to know about these types of situations if they care and are involved in their child's lives. And so but at the same time, like Randy was saying, there are situations where sometimes it's not a good thing for parents to know about it. And so it's very difficult to give an answer to that one. And I think that it's a case-by-case situation in which you need to be able to handle that situation.
Does district policy as it stands now need to be changed?
I'm not certain, to be honest. I think that that would require some more research into that situation. Yeah.
So we have a little bit of time here still. Is there something that we haven't asked that you think is important for people to know?
Well, that's a very deep question. Most people do not understand how a school district works. They don't understand how the responsibilities of the board, much less the day-to-day operations. And what we have been trying to say, and what Seth Steeman has said a few times from the board, during the board meetings, is being involved with your children. They're going to school. And understanding what's going on with them, their child, because they're changing. They're young adults. And so that's one of the things that's one of the hardest things for the board as well as the district to deal with. And so the business is that we need parent involvement with their children's education. It can't be just go to your room, do your thing, and if you want to come out, watch some TV. It's got to be, what are you learning? How are you doing? How are you feeling? And part of that is just good children's love from the home, and knowing your child and understanding if you see a change or something that you've detected before anybody else does. And that's one of our challenges with this whole parents' rights business, is that when we come across a situation that is very personal, very private for a child, we work with them to see what's the best option for you. And unfortunately, for a lot of their parents, they don't know. They don't know what's going on with their children. And so the biggest thing that I think is not discussed much is parents' involvement with their children in school and being more interactive with them.
Is there a question that we haven't asked that you think is important for folks to know?
I think that for the most part, the questions have been really well asked. I think that if you have any other questions, you should definitely go and attend a couple of the school board meetings and see how those interactions and how those go down. And yeah.
And you can watch them right here on Yuba-Sutter.live at least once a month, sometimes more often. Anyway, we were trying to look into the camera over here, a little wrong switching. So, what question would you ask Randy?
Question I would ask Randy.
Yep.
Yep. I guess my question would be about the superintendent. And so we had Falaz Rani, and then Falaz Rani went on medical leave, and we have a new one that's going, that is taking over. And I know that there's a lot of there was some questions at the last board meeting about how you are paying her and those types of things, and with the conversation considering the budget. And so I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Well, Dr. Asrani's on medical leave, and because of that, we can't say a whole lot other than we just hope she's getting better. And yes, it is a budget crunch, and I'm just praying that we can figure this out. The interim superintendent is temporary, and she has about 66 days that she can work because of the cap that's put on retirees. And like I said, my hope is, as I've said before, is that we get a decent assessment about where the district is while we have a time between superintendents. And it's a dicey period. I mean, this was sudden, and none of us anticipated this. And so we're taking it day by day. And that's the best I can give you for now.
So what question would you ask Stefan?
Well, the biggest one is, what do you bring to the table? We all have an interest in what's going on with the school district. And I'd just be interested to hear what do you think you bring to the table to help the district move further?
So, a fresh perspective. We talked about my age, and I am very, high school wasn't that far away for me. And so I bring that. And then also I've been doing taxes for the last 12 years. And so very much fiscal responsibility is what I would be bringing to the table.
Okay. So in summing up why you're running, or any thoughts about what we've talked about, or maybe what we haven't talked about?
Certainly. So summing up, what I'd like to see changed is fiscal responsibility, respect, and reparations to the division between the community and the board.
So you don't think there's been fiscal responsibility?
I think that we are at a deficit again, and so that doesn't sound like we have fiscal responsibility if we're in a deficit. If we are going to continue being in a deficit, which is what it looks like from what I've seen at the meetings, and so that doesn't sound like fiscal responsibility.
Randy?
Well, then all I can say is that my goal for returning to the board is to basically finish up what we've started. We've got a lot of initiatives that were put in this last 4 years. I'd really like to see a decent evaluation about our curriculum and to see where we can help in the classroom to help our students to learn more of what's being taught. Secondly, this fiscal responsibility, we're fiscally responsible. The challenge we have is we have added costs and the state budgets are not covering it. That's where it's a shortfall. And we're working this year specifically because it has become more obvious that we have to do some cutting and some reorganization to get this budget back into balance. That's going to take a lot of discovery as well as prudent thought about where's areas we can cut back on that won't affect our students' education. But the other area is this, what we mentioned before, is this the classrooms, the teachers, and our performing arts. We've got a great group of folks that really are missing that auditorium. They're having to do a whole bunch of bootstrapping done just to do some decent performances. And we've been very fortunate with the Yuba-Sutter arts folks to help us out with that. So that, and Stefan's mentioned the communication. I have not sensed that we have a big challenge with the community. What I do see is a lack of understanding of what's going on in the school district. And that's where the communication really needs to be hit hard. And we've had all kinds of meetings across the district. We've had all kinds of video types of interaction. But what I'm sensing, it isn't working as well as we would like. And so I'm really hoping that we can evaluate what we've done in the past and see what we need to do to upgrade that to where we are getting better communication. We are getting more interaction with the members of the community that we haven't had so far.
Is this communication issue you're talking about with parents in particular, but other people within the district, maybe voters that would vote yes or no on bond issues, for example. Is that more a case in your mind of that people are just so busy doing things that they do not have time to spare and understand that sort of thing? And both of you can jump into that one.
The big one that at least from what we saw in the bond issue, is that south of the Yuba River is dominated by commuting folks. They commute to Sacramento, Roseville, Lincoln, and it's a bedroom community. They sleep here, and their kids go to school here. So there's a big disconnect about, what's going on with the school district and your child. And so I really see that what we need to do is reach into that bedroom community that we're seeing booming south of the river and get more interaction with them. And I know the schools are doing more with the parents, but we need to do even more. And it's really a tug of war about where your time is invested. And that's on the parent side as well as with the schools side.
And it's also, I think, some of the kids.
Well, and it's all the above. I mean, it's a different environment than we had 10 years ago. We're much more on the internet. We're much more on cell phones, and breaking that and taking some time outs from your electronic arena and just dealing with your personal arena. And it is time. And you can say you don't have time or you don't make time.
So, have you both been walking in the community? And I'm curious to know what you hear when you talk to people. What do they tell you? And Stefan, why don't you pick that up first?
So I have not been walking in the community. I have been attending the board meetings, and I have been paying attention to what's been going on in those, and the things that I'm hearing is very much the parents are worried about the teachers not communicating the situations. The teachers union is worried about their pay, very much so, and so those are the types of things that I've been hearing.
Well, I've been on most of the campuses across the district, and I did walk quite a bit for the bond issue. It's not everyday conversation when you want to talk to a parent about their child. That's a sensitive. But we all know that the economic stress that everybody has felt since the COVID has affected a lot of people, and we certainly see it in our foster kids and our homeless kids, and the children that can't speak English, which is it may only be 10% of the community, let's say, but it's an enormous challenge in the classroom. And so just helping the parents to be able to communicate with their kids what's going on in the classroom is challenging from the get-go, but you add language and you just double it. So, I'm just feeling that people are just feeling still stressed with their own home economics, and that really adds an edge to when you want to talk about how you feel about the community. I think Marysville, Linda, all of us have done their best to accommodate as much as they can, but it's still very decentralized. And so trying to get a message to our Marysville Joint Unified School District is not a simple task.
Is that one of the reasons why you employed a public relations agency?
She was brought on, Sapphire was brought on to help with the bond issue. Her contract ends this month. it will not be renewed. There was a specific goal for her coming in and help to broaden the communication. We put out a number of newsletters and video chats with folks, and so I think she helped a lot with one level of our communication, and that was with most of our school leaders, our community leaders, and our some of our parents that participated in it. And so it's another area that we are evaluating as far as, okay, what do we need and what don't we need as far as communication, and to really looking at the numbers about how we've got a big survey going out right now to do that very thing. Surveys go so far. You might get a 20% return on a survey, even on a computer. And so the idea is to get a census of where people think we are, and we're hoping that we can develop a plan to evaluate that.
Okay. One final question, and maybe we'll start with you, Stefan. What have we learned out of this conversation this morning?
I think we've learned that we all want to try and be better for the kids and this district, and that's what we're all aiming for. That's the goal.
And that's what I'd say. I mean, what I've learned from Stefan is that the business of communication, it's a tough nut to crack. And we're doing our darnest to leverage what we have. And that's the challenge, is how best to leverage the resources that we have in the district. And we're looking at everything that affects our children in that classroom. And so the hope I have with this communication is that there's not a lot of differences in what we're looking for. It's maybe the experience that you kind of have to be able to look at a problem or a challenge and to at least have some positive feedback on, okay, what's a step forward. And so it's been a pleasure to meet Stefan.
Great. Well, we have been listening to the Area 1 Trustees candidates, which is Randy Davis, who's the incumbent. He is the board president for the Marysville Unified School District Board of Trustees. And we've been listening to a newcomer to politics, whose dad has been in politics. That would be the county superintendent or county supervisor in the generally the Olivehurst and a little bit of Plumas Lake and a little bit of Linda.
Yep.
That would be Seth Fuhrer. So Stefan Fuhrer is who we've been listening to here, and welcome. I was once in your position.
Yes.
I was in high school and ran for school board when I was a senior, just as the 18-year-olds got the right to vote. And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, there were 11 other people that decided to run for school board at the same, you know. It was an interesting experience, but I don't think anybody younger in Sutter County has decided to run. I don't know if we scared them off, but that's been 40, 50 years ago. Anyway, we want to let you know that our program today has been presented by Nickell Tax and Financial Services in downtown Marysville. They're just up the street right over there. So go talk to the folks. They'll save you a few nickels. And here's how.
Hi, I'm Seth Fuhrer with Nickell Tax and Financial Planning, and I'm your financial ally. With years of expertise, we at Nickell Tax go the extra mile to maximize your refund and get the largest allowed by law. With Seth Fuhrer and family at Nickell Tax, it's not just about the numbers, it's about personalized service that fits your unique financial goals. That's why we fight for our clients here at Nickell Tax and Financial Planning, where Seth Fear and family are going to
Save you more than just nickels.
Nickell tax.com.
We would like to thank Ellen Culver of the City of Marysville for helping to arrange the use of Christmas Tree Park in downtown Marysville at 3rd and D Streets. Also Liz Gates of Gray Rose Studio, who provided chairs for our last Saturday event. And for people like you who also help support behind the scenes with small donations. You can click on links down at the very bottom of our text in the video that you're watching and be able to help support us. We'll be back in just a couple minutes with the Marysville Unified Trustees Area 3 and 4, folks. This is 4 people, a very fast-paced conversation, and I think you will enjoy it. You're watching Yuba-Sutter.live.
Yuba-Sutter.live. It's the truth that comes through.